Welcome back. Amazon is no stranger to steep criticism of its work environment. Last year, the company faced heat after firing several employees who protested against warehouse conditions amid the pandemic. Now, the New York Attorney General is stepping in. Joining me for discussion on this is President of the Amazon Labor Union, Chris Smalls. Chris, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, you were on our show previously where you discussed your reasoning for protesting Amazon. For those who are unaware, can you tell us about your experience working for the Staten Island warehouse?
Yeah, absolutely. I worked for Amazon since 2015. Um, I opened up three buildings. Staten Island was my last facility. Last year, when COVID-19 hit, I felt that Amazon dropped the ball on protecting its employees, myself included. So I held the walkout, and on that same day, I was terminated over the phone. Um, and I can tell you, working for this company, I used to tell the new hires if they have a gym membership, they might want to cancel it. It's 10 hours, 11 hours, 12 hours a day of calisthenics. You're on your feet. These buildings are 1 million square feet. The size of 14 NFL football fields. You're walking miles upon miles, and with minimum breaks, no real rest time. It's a lot of physicality on the body. So, um, for anybody that work at Amazon would tell you that at the end of the day, you're completely exhausted, physically and mentally as well.
So, can you detail the moment you knew something had to change and you began protesting?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a meeting with my higher ups, my bosses, and they told me about a positive case that happened 2 weeks prior. And in that same meeting, they told me not to tell any of the employees that I supervise um, that somebody was positive. They want to keep it um, pretty much secretive and individually tell people, which didn't make any sense. When you work in a building that has thousands of people, how do you get to everybody one by one? Especially when this person wasn't on site for over 2 weeks. It didn't make any sense, so that's when I decided, further action need to be taken because there it seemed to be a very retroactive instead of being proactive about it.
Now, did you expect voicing your concerns publicly to be met with such an aggressive response?
Absolutely not. I just thought, $1 trillion company, they have money and resources to do whatever they need to do. Um, and as a worker of 5 years almost, I thought that maybe they would just listen and do the right thing, which would be very minor to them. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. They felt the need to use disciplinary action instead.
So, I want to state again that this was last year, kind of like during the height of the pandemic. So, of course, I understand there was like added stress with that. But now your story has reached the Attorney General, Letitia James. And James is now seeking a court order to require Amazon to appoint a monitor to oversee health and safety measures at its warehouse. What are your thoughts on this?
That's excellent. Shout out to Letitia James. I've been working with their office ever since, and yeah, I'm happy to see that she hasn't backed down from her promise in investigating Amazon and holding them accountable. This is exactly what we need to do, not just here in New York, but probably nationwide as well. So I'm hoping that this lawsuit will be the catalyst for that. There definitely need to be some type of um, precautions when it comes to Amazon because they're still continuing to operate business as usual and workers are still working in fear. So I can tell you from being there every day on the ground that this is still very much the middle of the pandemic.
Now, I think these are good intentions, but do you at all think that this will solve the issues Amazon is having?
Well, no, I don't think it'll be the complete resolution. I think it's definitely a small, um, maybe even bigger than small, but definitely a fraction that'll help get towards that resolution. when it comes to health and safety. COVID-19 is just one aspect of it, but there's different intangibles that uh, entitles when you're working at Amazon that definitely need to be looked into as well, as far as productivity, as far as their medical leave options, how they accommodate pregnant women, um, you know, how they accommodate anybody with underlying health conditions. That all need to be addressed as well.
Okay, so would you say like this was kind of an issue or a concern prior to the pandemic?
Yeah, I believe COVID-19 was just a life or death situation. But these issues with Amazon, they go back years. Um, but what happened in the middle of the pandemic, with myself and other activists, what you saw was, the world kind of stopped for a moment with all the uprisings and protests, and the labor movement really took advantage of that. And now you're seeing everything under a microscope. So these problems been around, but now everything's under a microscope, and this is our opportunity to change that. So that's exactly what we're trying to do here in Staten Island.
Now, the Attorney General also asked the company to give you your position back. Reflecting on your experience with the company, can you explain whether or not this is something that you would actually want?
Yeah, I'm 100% on that, and it's not because I want my job back. It's only because I want to organize from within. That's a no brainer. Right now we've been organizing a union, independent union, for the last 7 months outside of my former facility. And I'm on the outside. As you can see, I'm in my office right now. This is our setup behind me. We set up this tent with equipment every single day. I'm on my way out to Staten Island to do that. And you know, this is something that I do on the outside. But if I can be on the inside, connecting with workers, especially as a supervisor, that'll help us with our efforts. So that's the only reason why I definitely would love to have my job back.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is not new for Amazon. The company is known for the mistreatment of their workers. How does it feel to see that more Amazon employees, just even across the country, have been speaking out about what they've been enduring while working at Amazon?
Well, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take collective action, and nationwide, even worldwide. I'm calling out Amazon that has the stakes in all these different countries, and especially here in the United States, they have the stakes everywhere. Every major city you can think of, they affect our community. So uh, we realizing that we all have the same. Um, the same issues. We're raising the same concerns, and all of our messages are aligning. So to see workers speak out now and have the courage to speak out, that's also the basis of this lawsuit that she filed. The fact that they fired somebody who spoke out, it left such a chilling effect on workers to do so. This is trying to reverse that process, letting workers know that you have the right to use your rights, and don't be afraid to use your rights, and that there's protections if the company does retaliate against you.
Now, I love that you brought that up because that kind of leads into my next question just about, Amazon gives a different reason for firing you, but many view the decision as retaliation and intimidation. We see a year and a half later, you still have the courage to speak up. What gives you that drive to continue fighting for what you believe is right?
Well, it's the workers. The workers contacted me ever since I was fired, and workers. I've been organizing with workers the entire time, especially after the smear campaign that they attempted on me. Jeff Bezos himself sat in a meeting with his top general counsel, discussing, you know, calling me not smart or articulate. Ironically, to make me the whole face of the unionizing efforts against Amazon. And I said, okay, that's a good idea. And that's exactly what I've been doing, just organizing with workers. And the motivation is that, I don't see myself walking away from this anytime soon. Because if I did that, I would be doing disservice to people that I spoke up for. And I believe that the fight is just the beginning. So I want to make sure I see through. It's an Amazon principle, to be honest. See it, own it, and fix it. So I saw the issues last year. I owned up to it, and now I'm just trying to fix it and see it through.
Now, previously you mentioned working for, you're concerned working for a company that doesn't care about people. And I feel like this is just a reality that many of us have to deal with. What have you learned from facing this challenge?
Yeah, I always think about that as well. Working for an employer that you don't want to really work for, but this is your basic, your main source income. Um, you know, they always tell people like, if you don't like your job, quit, and that's the issue. We're used to doing that. We can quit, find another job. But if we continue doing that, nothing gets changed. The system continues to operate as it has for the last couple of decades. So instead of doing that, uh, I'm suggesting that we organize. Instead of quitting your job, organize it. So that's what we're doing now. We're not quitting. We're not backing down. We're not just complying with just having a job. We're saying as essential workers, it's time to be treated as essential workers, and it's time to organize and unionize or form some type of workers collective to protect yourself and your employees, your coworkers, as you work for this company. It doesn't matter what company. It could be Amazon, it could be Whole Foods, it could be FedEx, it could be Kalux, John Deere, all these different industries that are striking now. It's time that we, as workers, fight back and take the power back.
All right, Chris, thank you so much for joining me. Can you just let people know how they can stay up to date with you?
Absolutely. Please support us and follow us on Twitter, at Amazon Labor Union, on Instagram as well. Myself at Chris Smalls on Instagram, at shut_down Amazon on Twitter. Please follow us, our website at amazonlaborunion.org. Help us out, donate to our cause. We're grassroots, independent, worker-led union.
All right. That's all for our show today. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kim and Aline, wishing you and yours safety and wellness now and always. See you next time.